Hey, welcome to the weekly wrap up. Now, I've noticed everyone on YouTube and on Twitter saying this, so I'm going to say it as well because, you never know. If anyone from the UK is watching this is not financial advice. If you're in the USA, this is not financial advice. In fact, if you're anywhere in the world, it's not financial advice. It's just my opinion on where I think these charts are going to go.
Very nicely done. Very good. Did I have like a banner or something that said just not financial
No,
advice?
I've just seen it on some YouTube, but I'm just like shaking my head. And it's like, obviously, watching these things, you have to understand that this is not gospel. And, while I've been trading for a long time, use a stop loss, use money management. Don't go over leveraging 100, 200 times. Don't do stupid shit and you'll be fine. That's the end. There you go.
I feel like there's a reason why they say it's having an edge in the market. It's not having complete dominance of the market and knowing every trade. It's having an edge, and it takes a long time, as you well know, to get that edge.
But it's, with laws and regulations changing all of the time at the moment, just be aware of that. It's like, this is just my opinion on how I think these trades are going. My opinion is normally, right about, 70, 80% of the time. So it's a pretty good average, but yeah.
Well, in that case, could we get your opinion and no financial advice on what Bitcoin's doing?
We can. So we've had this very boring trading range for such a long time now. It feels like forever because, we have had excitement in the market. It gets a little bit sideways and everyone's like, oh, the world is ending. I was going to put up, like it was April Fool's, obviously today. And it's April Fool's for some of you just waking up on the other side of the world. So in that case, we're going to 12K. So Capo was right.
And it's not, and it's an April Fool's.
Yeah, we're not going to 12K. We do have a very tight trading range at the moment. So something exciting that did happen was for the first time ever in the history of all-time highs, Bitcoin closed the weekly and the monthly above the previous all-time high. So if we pull that up on the weekly and we just zoom in, hang on, it's going to be super slow. It's emulating, the actual market by just, it's frozen. It's like, it's just la-di-da-di-da. Come on, TradingView, you can do it. I know I've got a million tabs and TradingView is like having a spaz about tabs at the moment, but we'll see. See if we can get it to move. It doesn't want to move. Hang on, let's refresh it. Go back to my chart. See if we can get a weekly out of this one again. Doesn't like to go to a weekly. So there we go. So as we can see, we have closed above the previous all-time high, which is really exciting and a big moment, which means there's still a lot of momentum to happen. So while we might get some pullbacks and we've got a really tight trading range of about $10,000, it may hold this diagonal. So any pullbacks that we get, I do believe we're going to hold about 63.5 now. I don't think they're going to be major. As we're seeing in the alts, we've got like these really tiny truncated waves, and our ABCs are really truncating and then taking off. So that might be the case here with BTC. At the moment, it's Easter Monday, and there's not a lot of markets open for ETFs or anything like that. So there's not a lot happening there. They're all relaxing. And you should be doing the same. You should be going and touching some grass, or not like I did the other day and climbing up I don't know what that was, Josh. But yeah, Josh tried to kill me, by the way, and made me climb up this like 120 meter.
Just hey? Not intentionally. Just say.
So yeah, so it does look like Bitcoin is still super bullish. When we zoom out to the monthly chart, so we do have an inverse head and shoulders. So if that does form, we could pull back to this, support, which is, possibly we go sideways for a little bit before pulling back. But the worst it's going to get is about 54 now. So it's not looking ugly. And it just does look like Bitcoin wants to continue. So yeah, once ETFs come back online, I think that's going to be something that is really going to continue. We're going to keep moving, and whether we sit here for a little bit more is kind of unknown. So this trading range is sitting currently. So we've got that 10,000 range that I was saying, but we've got an even tighter range that sits between 68 and about 72. So that's a really, really tight range in that region. So
if I can just interrupt. So your red line, your diagonal there, are you suggesting that as long as it stays above it, and even if it was to range sideways, it would the bottom of the Bitcoin dump, if it was to have a dump, would correlate with that red line and can keep going up, or is that just complete?
Yeah, definitely. So, when we put Fibonacci on that at the moment, because we're currently just in that wave there. So we're in a wave 3. So when we put that on, that correlates with a 0.382 fib, which is a really bullish sign. So bull markets for this particular wave will go to the 236 or the 382. Sometimes I don't even get there. So that is potentially what we're going to see. It could go as deep as that, but I think we're going to go and sit up above in this region. So the trading range, this range down to here is to the 236. So that is as low as I think we're going. I don't think it's going, and even then it may not even get that low. So that's every time I thought we're going to get one of these larger pullbacks, Bitcoin's proven me wrong. So it is a case of the unknown at the moment, just due to the ETFs and how much Bitcoin they're eating up. The supply, and there's gold companies that are eating up Bitcoin as well. I think it was, I posted it on Twitter. So one of the whale Twitters that I follow added it, and everyone was saying it was fake. So I went on to the New York Stock Exchange, and it's, in fact, they've requested that they, are going to be listing and buying more Bitcoins so that they can bolster their profits, basically. So, that's another thing. Companies are adding that to their balances at the moment. So if you don't have Bitcoin long term, you're kind of going to be, priced out. So that's the thing. It's really unknown, this part of the market, how deep this is going to get. 236 is to around 62, but may not go down that low. So yeah, I'm not selling at the moment.
So there's a question here from a member in Getting Started in Crypto, suggesting that they think the current bull run will be the last one with parabolic prices before the market faces strict regulations. Can you let us know how many signals we should expect once the bull run starts? And do you have any plans to take advantage of the next 12 months?
Well, if they remember a GSIC, they would know that I had a write-up of what I believed was going to happen over the next 2 years. We have got another DCA bag that we are building at the moment over the next 12 weeks. It's hard to say how many signals unless I get my crystal ball out, because the market changes and evolves as we go. Alts have a pause in the market, they regroup, coins retrace. There's so many things and so many different factors that can happen. So without looking at a pattern, I can't give you an overall sort of this is going to happen. I can say that I do believe this might be the last of the big bull runs. So this is a third of a third. So that basically means we're in the Elliott wave style, the largest wave formation that you'll get. So, and it usually moves quite quickly, as we've seen. So we're still only in the early days of that. We're probably only in the first wave of this third wave, Elliott wave pattern, so of a super cycle. Following that, we go into a fourth and a fifth wave. So once this cycle, this 4-year cycle is complete, which is about September, October 2025, that's when you want to be exiting the market around that point when we've hit those highs. And we're going into a fourth wave then. So fourth waves can either, chop right down, and they can go, right down to a 786. Bitcoin likes to do that. Or it can just go sideways for a long time. So it might be a multi-year cycle where it goes sideways after that within that fourth wave. So, that fourth waves are such a difficult thing to predict, and because there are so many different patterns that they can be. But we do know that in this wave formation, we're in a third wave, and that's a really good sign for the market, which means we should get, some huge movements. So nothing's ever guaranteed. Like, something might change in a month's time, and all of a sudden everything we've planned for goes out the window because, the USA puts in some bans, or, the Ecuador or El Salvador or somebody decides to sell all of their Bitcoin stores, and that freaks the market out, or BlackRock jumps on us, or there's so many different factors. But at the moment, I do believe this is going to be a really good bull run. We don't go into things believing they're not going to be. And we trade patterns as they happen, not because, oh my God, this is going to be the be all. Somebody on, Twitter said it's going to go to $1 million. I'm holding to $1 million. Be realistic. Keep your stop loss moving up. Sell as you get to certain profit levels. If that's your strategy, work out a strategy that's going to work for you, that's going to be the most profitable for you. So, and stick to it. The biggest thing that happens in trading is people stop, what they're doing because they jump into another coin, or they see something that's pumping and they sell. And then all of a sudden the coin that they've waited a month to, move goes 100%. And they're now in a coin that's already pumped. So have a strategy, stick to the strategy, and don't go jumping in and out of things. Strategize, have a strategy with your bags. Like, break down, if you've got enough money that you can break it down into long-term bags, swing trade bags, and then, have some that you can jump into shit coins, or you can jump into some scalps, some high-risk trades. That's the money that you're not afraid to lose. All the rest should be really strategic. It should be really planned out, and where that's, if something happens, you've got a stop loss. If something happens and goes the other way, what those strategies are, and whether you're holding or whether you're, selling up. So it's really important. So without having a crystal ball, I can't tell you exactly what's going to happen, but I do believe the bull run should be a good bull run.
Okay, cool. Well, we're going to come on to some altcoin charts in a minute or two. Anything else before we get to the alts, Lisa? Ethereum?
Yeah, so let's jump into Ethereum. So because it does look like we've got the fourth wave happening in this pattern as well. We do look like we're in a B wave at the moment, so it's just chopping. So ETH has, there's talk of an ETF, there's talk of no ETF, there's talk of, BlackRock have applied for staking, which probably won't get through. So you know, there's such a lot of misinformation going around at the moment. So, you know, it is a good trade normally, but one we need to watch. So it still, to me, looks like it's in an ABC. This B could be really truncated and complete and could come down from here. But I do think we've got one more push up to about maybe 4K. Hopefully we can get a little bit higher, but 4K is a good sort of region, and then potentially one more wave down. Could break down to that next level. But hopefully it holds the diagonal here, which is about 3,200. So that's the ideal level for Ethereum. It could go sideways for a little bit more. It is holding pattern and looking quite good, but I do think the market is overdue, probably a 10 to 20%, you know, just a trim across the board. And then that will bring some, you know, money back into the market. And because there's a lot of people saying, oh, market's really overbought at the moment. I'm just going to wait till it pulls back. So that may happen, especially for whales. So, or it might just hang up here and leave them all behind. So it does have a habit of doing that sort of stuff as well. But yeah, just be aware that there could be pullbacks over the next week. We did see this going sideways. It potentially can go sideways a little bit longer. It's in a fourth, like across the board, we've got fourth waves happening, and they're so boring. So it is literally time to get everything done that you need to do for yourself and then come back to the charts. I can't hear you.
That's because I was on mute and just talking to myself. I was saying, okay, we're going to take a very short, quick 30-second break if you're finished, Lise, and then we'll move on to some alts.
Yeah, cool, let's go.
Excellent. Okay.
Okay, so before we jump into alts, there's been a whole heap of articles going around. So not just in Australia, but globally. Like some statistics have come out that are really, really sort of scary for, you know, especially young people coming into the market. So it says millions of Australians with less than $1,000 in savings. So this is 9 News, and it's a Morgan Gallup poll, which is one of the big companies that do a lot of polls in Australia here. And this is just absolutely crazy. So, you know, they're not prepared for emergencies. They're not prepared to have, you know, saving for a rainy day, literally spending all their money, and can't afford to buy a house, probably will never afford to buy a house. And this is the craziness that we're seeing at the moment. So Josh and I were talking about this last night, and, you know, all you guys obviously are here in crypto and you've got a strategy, and we know that this is, as we've just heard, we're going into this bull market. But this is where you need to get this strategy really, really happening. So, and really, really focus on, you know, what you're looking at to bring for the future, you know, for future for family, for future for, you know, if you want to go on holidays, you want to get a deposit for a house, and how you're going to sort of do that. So I've got an article coming out in the Moon Mag in about a week. So look out for that, because, you know, I break down, you know, how to think about trading, how to think about, you know, the strategies that go behind that, and essentially like to protect the capital as you move along, because that's the most important thing. Like, obviously, you know, I love doing shitcoin Sundays and that sort of thing, but, you know, it's tiny, tiny, minute amounts of money. I'm not throwing in hundreds of thousands of dollars into those. At most, it's probably one Solana. It's like $150, which to me is not a lot of money. To somebody else might be a huge amount of money. But yeah, so just be aware that these strategies, as we go into this bull market, need to be honed. You need to be I'm going to be focusing on bringing you a lot more strategies on Twitter and social media, and just breaking that down, like how that works. So if you're not in the group and getting started in crypto, there's going to be little bits and pieces sort of coming out during the week. So just watch for those.
Absolutely. And just to add on to that, I think it's so easy in crypto Twitter or crypto X, whatever we call it nowadays, in the industry in general, to get very stuck inside it. It's a bit of an echo chamber. And when you get in touch with reality a bit like that, and that's not just Australia. We had a look at America and UK. The average amount of savings for people, broken down by ages, seems to be, especially that younger generation, too low for them if they're going to want to own a property, and just like you say, most importantly, have something in the kitty just for a rainy day if something were to happen. So it's really good for everyone to get a bit of perspective on what they're doing. I think that also translates into helping to take profits when you need, when you should. Right.
Yeah, exactly. But, even if it's a small profit, if you are not a trader, head to thousandtomillions.com and have a look at that strategy, because that is really going to change your mindset. And, it works on 3%. So even if you're, sort of just working on 3%, you're compounding that and compounding that, it all adds up, and you'd be surprised how quickly that adds up. And that you need to change your mindset. Crypto is not the fast money where you're just going to, put in $1,000 and all of a sudden you've got $1 million. And I know we see that, but how real is that? It happens to one person. It's the same as winning the lotto. So just be aware that, have your strategies in place and really, really stick to those. So yeah, I'm just going to keep harping on about that and breaking down those bags and understanding what you're doing with that, what part of the market we're in, whether you're going to exit at all the major highs. I wouldn't say this is a major high at the moment. We're in a fourth wave, and the fifth wave, we might get a 30% dip. So that's a point where you might want to exit the market. So there's just strategies that everyone needs to be sort of looking into to, build the most money out of this end of market, sort of, as we go into this bull market.
I'm not sure if you have the tab open, but you just before the weekly wrap up, you shared in the group your 1,000 to millions, your personal one as you've been going along. I'm not sure if it's on that computer that you're on right now, but
no, I should be able to get it. Hang on.
I'll let you have a look for it and talk in the meantime. But for those who haven't done 1,000 to millions, and for those who are doing it, we are doing it alongside you. We're not just throwing out the signals. So, okay, you ready for me to jump across there, Lise?
So we started this a couple of months ago. So obviously every month we post out this, our wins and our losses. So that's coming up. I'll have a post going out on Twitter tomorrow. But TTM this month made about 40 or 50%, depending on, how much profits you were taking. It doesn't win every trade. It doesn't need to win every trade, but it does need, the losses are smaller than the losses are always smaller than the wins. And that's the thing. So even if the trade starts going against me and I take 1 or 2%, that's okay, because it all compounds. And so I started with $1,000 and I'm sitting on 2,656. It's been going for about 2 or 3 months. So, you know, while that's not quick gains, it is compounding, and it does, as it gets larger, it does start to compound a lot quicker, and you notice a lot more gains. So that makes it harder for me as well, because the liquidity in the market is not really great at the moment. So I do have to pick trades that I know have quite high liquidity. So it just, there's a lot more sort of skill going into it for me as well. But yeah, so even though if we've had a couple of losses in a row, we do pick that up. So, you know, 4%, and we got quite a bit of slippage on that ARB trade because it did have really low liquidity. So that's when it sort of brought that to my awareness. And then, you know, we're going through and we're making money. So but not winning every trade. Like I said, I've got a 70 to 80% win rate, and that is what you need. You only need to be 50% profitable as long as you've got your money management in place. And all my money management stuff I learned from Peter Brandt. So that is how it works. So even if you're only 50% profitable, as long as you've got smaller losses, larger wins, you'll be really profitable over time. So yeah, so that's how the TTM strategy works. It's a compound strategy. Compounding is going to just build and build and build, and you're just going to see that fly after probably it takes about, you know, 4 to 5 months to really see the benefits. But it's the same as, you know, jumping in the gym. You don't instantly have muscles. You don't instantly get skinny. It takes time. So, you know, this is the thing. We're trying to change the way long-term how people think of crypto. And, you know, it's probably not there yet, but we're getting there. We're getting there.
Absolutely. We're getting there. And let's face it, you've 1.5 times your money. Like, it's been doubled. It's huge. If that was in your $1,000 was in a savings bank, with the interest, let's say even 4 or 5%, I mean, it's not going to get anywhere near that over the course of a year, let alone
you know, if you've got money in fiat and it's just sitting there, it's literally losing value. So and, you know, as inflation and everything increases, your fiat is going to be losing value. So you want to be getting into investments, safe investments, ones that, you know, you're not going all out on Solana shitcoins or base shitcoins or anything like that, that you're just throwing your money away with, or, you know, high level margin. This is not margin. This is purely spot, and, you know, 3 to about 8% profits for a win, and, you know, probably about 3 to 5% in the losses. So yeah, it's a really tight strategy.
Okay, let's jump into a few alts and then we will wrap it up. I think you've got a few lined up.
I do. So we've got Matic. So Matic, as I explained last week, has had a few issues. I'm still waiting on it to drop. I still do think it's coming back down. So I think 83 could be likely. The only thing that would change that for me, if this current wave holds this low, potentially it's about to do a C wave. So what that may look like is an A, a B, and a C. So we want this B wave to hold the low. If that happens, it's going to be good to jump into and to get that C wave. C waves always come back after that. So that would make it an overall sort of A, B, and then the C back down. So eventually we're going to get back to that position. So whether it's now or in a couple of weeks' time, I do think we're coming back to around that 87. But yeah, could go sort of up, down over the next week or so. EOS, we have a signal in the group. I haven't given it here, but it does look like we are in a fourth wave at the moment. So what this looks like, and it does look like we've got a bit of a triangle forming, which is nice. If I can find the right, there we go. So an A, a B, a C, a D, and an E. Could be, we look like we've got some diagonals forming. So likely it's going to hold quite high and continue that way. So it's going to be a little bit sideways. I recommend always buying the C, because you often don't get the D and the E, especially in a bullish market. So always buy the C. Try to buy the A if you can, because it's just going to go sideways. You just got to sit in that trade a little bit longer. You can then sell the B, rebuy the C. But yeah, so that's kind of EOS at the moment. Theta is looking like it has a very, very similar pattern. So we can see it is just moving sideways. So when we put a fib on that, it has come back down to the 0.5. So if it continues to hold the 0.5, it's probably going to form a triangle. When we look at Theta, it does have a pattern memory and does like the 786. So the 786 is the pattern break on this. So which is down, this is our wave 1, come down for our wave 2, and this is our 3, currently in a 4. So the 4th wave can't cross with the wave 1, or else it invalidates that pattern and it then becomes a corrective pattern. So holding that wave at that point at the 786 at 1.53 is ideal. Doesn't mean it's going to come down that far. It may just do the pattern that I just showed you on EOS, which is essentially that triangle just going sideways. So likely we're going to see the end of this pullback. So a day or two just pulling back for that final B sub wave, and then coming up for another B wave in a lot of these patterns, where you're all going to get excited and then it's going to slam down again. So it's just how whales like to do it in this region. But just be aware, some of the patterns can go a little bit deeper. So don't over leverage. Don't, have those stop losses too tight, especially if you're in longer term trades. Rose, so this has been one that's been a very, very nice trade. It potentially could have 5 waves. So depending on how we count it, that could be our 1, our 2. This could be a 3rd wave, or this could be a 3rd wave, because we've got enough waves here for this to be 3, and this to be 5. But I'm going to count this as our 3rd wave with a wave extension, because we are in a bullish market at the moment. So with that being said, we should go sideways. We should start to see a bounce. If this does pull back and it's a 4th wave, it could go as low as this 0.5, which is about 109, and just continue sideways for a little bit, like a lot of the coins I've just mentioned. So just be aware, a lot of the patterns at the moment are in 4th waves, and they're just so incredibly boring.
Okay. Well, before we wrap up, could we squeeze in just 2 more from the chat that I picked up?
You can. And I've got to tell everyone as well. So if you haven't, you've probably heard me shouting about this. So this is my book, Become a Millionaire in a Year. It breaks down the strategy that I've just talked about before with 1,000 to million, and the mindset, more importantly, behind that. Because you need to, if you believe you can, you can. If you believe you can't, that's it. You're just not going to do it. So it's all about mindset in trading. And often when traders do take a couple of hits, they can get very, very negative. And we don't want to see that. We want to see you guys, loving trading, making money. You don't have to win every trade. You just have to understand that there's always another trade. And, if you stick to your setup, it's probably going to be okay.
Okie dokie. Very good. What's the website again, just for that? Or you can find it on Amazon, right?
Yeah, you can find it on Amazon, or you can find it on 1000tomillions.com.
Okay, cool. Right, GLMR, Moonbeam.
So we've seen some nice moves on gaming coins over the last week, which has been really nice. And I do think we are going to continue to see that for a little bit longer. Now, Moonbeam. has got a nice cup here, and this is essentially a handle. Let me get some of this signal stuff off for you so we can just have a look and see where this is going. So ideally, it might look like, so it has had quite a nice run. So let's see where we've gone. So because I always look at these charts, and when they're not hitting fib levels, it usually means they've got more room to move up after they've finished a correction. So for this, we're just going to look at this pattern exactly here. So it is starting to break down in this region, which means the next level is the 786, which is at about 41. So ideally you want it to hold and just wick at this point. A lot of the time trades are going below because a lot of the bots know that traders sit on these regions and have stop losses or orders, and it's just about adjusting those trades. So that is something to be aware of. There's also a lower diagonal support we can see around that area, because this region, we did have a diagonal support up higher, which has now broken down, and this has come down below this region. So potentially it's coming down to the 786, unless it does wick in this region. The whole market is starting to pull back at the moment. It does look to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 very clear waves, and yeah, coming into either this second wave. So if I zoom out, I can get a picture as to where we are. Trading view is going to be slow. So yeah, but it does have a really nice curl. So we can see that we've got a really kind of irregular looking inverse head and shoulders. And it does mean that it's going to get a lot of momentum as it turns around. So, you know, adding to your bags in this region is not a bad thing as far as I'm concerned. But just know your strategy, whether it's long term, whether you're short term trading, whether you're taking 10% or 100%, or what your strategy is on these coins, or you're just waiting and selling until 2025.
Okay, and next up is Link, and then we've got a couple more and we'll call it a day there.
So Link, I do believe, is nearly in a buy zone. So this is a chart that I've got ready and waiting for a signal. So this is my buy zone. We've got a channel. It's just been moving in this channel for such a long time and coming back down to a place where I'm like, okay, I'm ready to buy. So if I'm buying this, I'm buying between 18 and about 17.50. So, and if TradingView could hurry up with my movement on my chart.
So we might not get another 2 charts after all. It depends on.
It's just not liking it. So I think I've got too many tabs, and they're cracking down on that at the moment.
Okay, no problem.
But yeah, so it's nearly in an area of interest for me.
Okay, all right then. Let's take a look at FTM and then TRX, if you can load them, and then we will wrap up there. But like I say, dependent entirely on how trading feels. Let's see how fast this one comes out.
Yeah, nice. So FTM, so it is kind of, sort of, maybe could be still quite bearish, but could be, it's right on the tip of the bullish and bearish pivot. Now, if this can hold this wave one, which is at 68, I do think it's going to, I do think we're in the fourth wave on FTM at the moment. We're going to get one more wave. Just be aware that we really, really, really need to break that 1.23 on FTM, or else this is still a bearish pattern. So that means that this is probably just a B wave, and then it's coming back down, which will break below. So some alts at the moment are still in bearish patterns. As much as they've pumped like 100 or 200%, some of them are just still in bearish patterns. So this has gone like 800%, but don't let that fool you. It still could go the other way. And I don't want to sound like Capo on these, but we have got, FTM has got a bullish pivot that is at this point. It has touched it. It hasn't crossed over. Really needs to cross over. So I'm really hoping that this is a 5-wave pattern. We're holding on this fall and we're continuing up. So that would be a really strong sign for FTM.
Okay, lastly, TRX.
TRX. So this has got a really, really nice, what I call alt curl on it. And it is like, while it's still in this fourth wave and it's still pulling back, the alt curl on this is off the chart. So, and I think we're going to see some movements on some of the stuff that Justin Sun has created and does own. So, you know, check out Huobi and those sort of, you know, HTX coin, which it is now. Is it HX coin or HTX? But that's one that I think is going to see some movement soon. TRX, once it finishes and completes this fourth wave, the 200 MA on the daily is sitting at about 108. So likely it's going to turn around at that point. So if we were to put a Fibonacci on that, we can see that it's 382. It has touched down in that region once. It may touch there one more time, but it does look like this has, look at the curl. So when we just, you can see that it's just curling up. So the parabola on that is just next level. So it looks really, really strong.
Exciting stuff. Okay, cool. Well, that's pretty much everyone happy. I think there's some others, but if you're in Getting Started in Crypto, you can jump in the chat and we'll catch up with them there. Otherwise, any other last words, any other not financial advice, opinions?
Yeah, so just remember again, this has not been financial advice, and it's definitely not advice to anyone in the UK, USA, or any restricted jurisdictions. So
basically.
Yeah, basically.
Okay. All right. Well,
it's just my opinion on where I think things are going to go.
Well, of course, and hopefully they will, because you've done it a long time and you know your shit, basically.
Yeah.
Cool. All right then. Well, let's wrap it up there for the week. And thanks to everyone for joining again. Have a good week. Touch some grass, and we will see you all soon.
Especially touch some grass when it's a fourth wave, because it's just, you're going to be pulling your hair out with these sideways movements. So get out there, enjoy life, come back when the market starts pumping again.
See you soon.